Hi, I'm Jason Aaron Wood, and today I want to talk to you about chromatics. When you first started guitar, you probably learned something that went a little bit like this as a finger exercise. Okay, yeah, dull, boring, and lifeless. If you're like me, you probably considered yourself to outgrow that at some point once you built up the finger strength and the general idea of the one finger per fret rule. I started looking around for exercises that would allow me to work out my entire fretting hand at the same time, except realizing that it was dull and lifeless as was, I decided, well, it's not very useful unless I actually put it to a rhythm. And that was really the part that made it was kind of my musical epiphany. Fill in a rhythm. It's a very simple concept, but if you know what time signature you're in and what kind of feel you want, what kind of pace you want that time signature to progress as. So let's say if I'm at 4/4, let's say I want to do eighth notes at 4/4. That means that, well, one measure is going to have 8 notes. So let's just take 8 notes of the actual chromatic scale. So if I were to start from the 9th position, but with my pinky descending at the 12th fret, descending from 12, up a fret, same fret, up a fret, up a fret, up a fret. Okay? Let's just say actually these are, let's do 16th notes. 4, 8, 12, 16, 20, 24. Okay, well, 24 16th notes. Well, how do I want to treat that? Let's start with 2/4, pretty basic time signature. I have 3 measures of 2/4 if I choose. But, hey, that goes into 3. I could do it as 3/4, 16th notes in 3/4. Up to speed. Okay, the 2/4 at up to speed would be... Alright, so there's a couple different ways I can take just the same melody but fit it into a completely different musical context. I want to go into why we're going to accent. One, because it breathes life into your melody. With music, you have really 2 elements. You have rhythm, which kind of gives your music feeling, and you have what notes you're going to use to that rhythm, or what combination of notes at the same time if you're playing chords. It really doesn't matter. The rhythm is going to be the pulse that really moves your music. Whatever you fill that in with is up to you, and that's going to kind of be more like a coloration or a subtle or not so subtle shading of that pulse. With accenting, that kind of sets those markers in your rhythmic pulse. What I'm going to do now is redistribute the accenting. By doing that, I'm going to have to kind of keep track of where those accents are going to be. My picking hand's going to pick a bit harder on those notes. But to keep in sync between my picking hand and my fretting hand, I want to look at what fretting hand finger is going to happen on those accented notes. Let's go through that first pattern again. So if I'm going to do 16th notes, my pinky gets the accent. If I just go straight across, pinky, pinky. Okay, that's descending. Now ascending. Index, index. So it'll be the pinky if I'm descending, and it'll be the index finger if I'm just ascending. Still, that's pretty boring and absolutely very predictable. So let's mix it up a little bit. What I've done is created kind of what I call the chromatic spiral. At one time it basically descends more than it ascends. Here's the chromatic spiral. Descending, descending, slide, ascending, slide, descending. Okay? All the way across is okay, so it's descending more than it's ascending, and hence the spiral type motion. Okay, so you can call it whatever you want. That's just what I like to call it. Now, when I play it that way, my accents are going to land a little bit differently. Obviously, since I'm starting the whole thing on my pinky, I know that my first note will be my pinky note. Pinky, index, pinky. Okay, so it'll be pinky, pinky, index, pinky. Much easier to keep my hands in sync with each other if they both know what they're doing as kind of a concentrated joint effort with each other. Every pair of strings does that exact same formula. So okay, so that's descending. Now with ascending, it's going to be a little bit of a different game plan. It's going to start on my index finger, pinky, index finger. Okay, so it's kind of like the mirror image. We've totally reversed the idea. So alright, so same idea. Alright, now let's take the same thing. I'm going to actually not repeat the notes as I go through. I'm going to basically play 3 groups of 4. I'm going to cut off that last 4 because that's just going to get repeated. So it'll just be 1E and 2E and 3E and the tab will also be available if you look on the information pane on the right side. You can actually download the PDF of the tablature for this exercise. So if I'm going too fast, don't worry about it. It's actually going to be on the document and you can always replay. The reason I'm going to switch to 3s, it's still going to be the accents in the same place that they would be if I play it with that kind of time signature and 16th note rhythmic subdivision in mind. But what if I decide I want to play this instead as, well, I've got 12 notes now. My magic 12 notes that line up to several common time signatures. 4-4, 6-8, 3-4, 3-8, 2-4. There's a lot of different ways that I can squeeze 12 notes into all these time signatures, just depending on how I break up each individual beat. Whether I break it up into halves, like 8th notes from a quarter note, or thirds, 8th note triplets from a quarter note. So here's basically what happens if I redistribute my accents to different places within the same 12 note melody. It's the same exact order as, except instead of 1E and 2E and 3E and I'm going to actually count it differently. Let's say I'm going to do 8th note triplets in 4-4. So 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and my pinky of course still gets the first accent. 1 and index finger, middle again. So pinky, index, middle, middle. Okay, and I can even play them at the same speed. It's just a very different feeling. I'm able to keep track of where I am by accenting certain notes in my rhythm. And that's really one of the other main reasons you want to do it. Aside from breathing life into your rhythms, it also helps you when you're playing a huge, massive, shredding wall of notes to keep track of where you are in that much more complex scheme of things. To play it all as triplets, I can basically repeat this same pattern: pinky, index, middle, middle. Pinky, index, middle, middle. Okay, now once again, when I ascend, it's going to be kind of the other way around. I'm going to start on my index, pinky, ring, ring. So now for ascending, it's the other way around. So index, pinky, ring, ring. So that way I can kind of keep track on my way up to make sure that whatever finger is playing the note that gets the accent, my right hand and my left hand can be on the same page to hit the string and press the string at the same time. Okay, so descending. Ascending. So anyway, I hope this helps. Remember again, for accenting, you're going to be kind of breathing life into what rhythm you're playing instead of just playing consistently. Of course you want to play consistently, but you also want to play with feeling. Part of what's going to give you feeling is knowledge of the aesthetic part, the enjoyability part of listening to the music too. You can play a million notes a second, it doesn't matter. You can actually still do it with feeling. Your choice of notes is going to be a big part of it, but your rhythmic attention is going to be the other part of it. You remember, there's two parts: your rhythm and your choice of notes. How you put them together, you know, that's up to you, but those are the two elements that actually have to be there to make something musical. All right, so anyway, I'm Jason Aaron Wood. Check out the tab in the info pane on the right side, and until next time, see you later.